NBA star shares story of going crazy in Sophie Cunningham amid controversial WNBA take and podcast ban. Brooklyn Nets star Michael Porter Jr. has revealed that he used to face up against WNBA talent when he was a teenager, including Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham. As part of a podcast interview, his revelations also included an explosive and highly controversial take that the 8th grade version of himself would dominate the current WNBA. Comparisons between male and female athletes is not a novel debate, but it is an unfair one which has dominated sports discourse for years. Now, as the WNBA close in on a gamma-changing CBA, collective bargaining agreement in the wake of unprecedented levels of interest, the NBA athletes have chimed in. Sitting down on Tuesday's episode of the Ball in the Family podcast with Cleveland Cavaliers guard Lonzo Ball, Porter Jr. and co-host Ball sounded off on the standard of WNBA players, sharing the belief that the top women's players would have no chance against male high school players. I mean this as respectfully as possible, but 9th grade Lonzo Ball in the WNBA is going crazy. Ball said of himself, "In 9th grade, I was over 6 feet and dunking. I'm coming through the lane. No girl in the WNBA is doing that. I'm going backdoor, throwing it up, looking like Michael Jordan out there. I'm just going to say, and I mean this respectfully, middle school down, I give it to the WNBA." Porter, who was the 14th overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft and is now plying his trade with the Nets, went one step further and spoke of his experience of having already faced some WNBA talent growing up. "I'm probably going with 8th grade because I have real experience doing this," Porter shared. "I played my sisters. They played at the University of Missouri, and I was still a young kid. They had me playing on the scout team, and they had a few WNBA players on their team, like Sophie Cunningham and a couple others. I was in 7th or 8th grade going crazy. So I have real-life experience. It's just a difference. I wish this would stop being a conversation because it should be common sense. I appreciate common sense. I feel sometimes that's lost a little bit." Porter Jr. has been warned about what he says on podcasts. These remarks are not the first time that the 27-year-old former Missouri star has spoken of having faced up to Cunningham, with the two having grown up together. Back in August, Porter Jr. featured on a live stream with streamer Plaque Boymax in which he controversially suggested that a WNBA All-Star team with Olympians on the roster would lose to male high school players. If the WNBA All-Star team, if the Olympic team played the McDonald's All-American high school players, it's one of them things, bro. You can't dance around it. Porter said on the live stream, "When I was in high school, if we play the WNBA All-Star team, that no disrespect, bro. No disrespect, bro. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm the biggest fan of the WNBA," Porter added. "I grew up with Sophie Cunningham. We talked about being able to chop it up and talk on a podcast." Cunningham is a 7-year WNBA veteran who was a second-round draft pick, also out of Missouri, and spent the first 6 years of her career with the Phoenix Mercury before being traded to Indiana in 2025. Since then, the 29-year-old has gone on to become one of the league's most recognizable figures due to her rise to social media fame, following her on-court defense of Fever superstar Caitlin Clark, in which she was branded as Clark's enforcer. Porter Jr., meanwhile, has faced some backlash for these comments, with some online questioning the validity of his story, considering the age difference between himself and Cunningham. Furthermore, the Nets star also revealed on the Ball in the Family podcast that the team's front office has advised him to steer clear of speaking about certain topics when he makes podcast appearances. It comes after a string of controversial opinions stemming from these appearances, mainly about women and relationships with women, which have done the media rounds over the past few months. "To be on the internet for anything else other than basketball, I feel is a summertime thing," Porter Jr. remarked. He even liked the organization, Nets. "We just had conversations that they would appreciate if I steered clear of certain topics. That's why the WNBA thing. That's just a topic that is so sensitive nowadays, so I try to be aware of that. I'm chilling. I'm not trying to say nothing crazy no more."